AbbVie has made a significant acquisition of ImmunoGen worth $10.1 billion, indicating the high demand and success of antibody drug conjugates in the cancer market. Additionally, Altimmune's Phase 2 win highlights the growing popularity of GLP-1 drugs for weight loss. Overall, both the antibody drug conjugate and GLP-1 drug markets are experiencing a surge in interest and success. Pfizer has bad news as they have decided to discontinue the development of their twice-daily oral GLP-1 candidate, danuglipron, after observing high rates of side effects such as nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea during a Phase 2b obesity trial. Altimmune has a good news. Their drug, an investigational GLP-1 glucagon dual receptor agonist, has shown promising results in a Phase 2 clinical trial. Patients who received the drug experienced significant weight loss, with some losing up to 15.6% of their body weight. In addition, nearly one-third of those who received the highest dose of the drug lost at least 20% of their body weight. This positive outcome has led to a jump in Altimmune's stock. A GLP-1 glucagon dual receptor agonist is a drug that activates both GLP-1 receptors and glucagon receptors, which are involved in regulating appetite and metabolism. AstraZeneca has announced the discontinuation of 2 Phase 3 hyperkalemia trials for their drug Lokelma. This decision was made due to slow enrollment and low clinical rates. However, it should be noted that there are no safety concerns associated with Lokelma, and its current approved indication is unaffected by this news. Good news for GSK as their drug Arexvy is projected to exceed £1 billion in sales in its first year on the market. This puts them ahead of Pfizer's Ebrysvo in the race for a respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. Astellas has good news as they are touting positive Phase 3 data for their menopause drug called Veozah. This drug has already received FDA approval in May, and now Astellas is looking for the top-line results to support reimbursement negotiations in Europe. Veozah is a pharmaceutical treatment for menopause symptoms. AbbVie has a good news. Their investigational drug, a c-Met protein-directed antibody-drug conjugate, has shown a compelling overall response rate in patients with previously treated non-small cell lung cancer, NSCLC. This achievement in Phase 2 clinical trials positions the drug for accelerated approval. Pfizer, Orna, Kite, and several other companies in the pharma and biotech industry have recently implemented staff cuts, according to the Biopharma Layoff Tracker 2023. Saracen Inc. has good news. They have formed a strategic partnership with A*STAR's Institute of Molecular and Cell Biology, IMCB, in Singapore to advance research and development, R&D, in neurological disorders. Saracen Inc. is a clinical-stage biotechnology company that focuses on developing innovative neurotherapeutics. They have established a memorandum of understanding with IMCB to collaborate and further their efforts in the field of neuroscience. HUTCHMED has good news. They will be presenting new clinical data from ongoing studies of their investigational drug candidates, fruquintinib, surufatinib, and HMPL-295 at upcoming medical oncology congresses. The data will be shared at the European Society for Medical Oncology Asia Congress in Singapore and the ESMO Immuno-Oncology Congress in Switzerland. Inside Anduril, the defense startup that's run like a tech company, has a good news. Their product is AI-powered, autonomous weapons systems that create a more nimble and cost-effective military. The opioid victims who won't sign off on Purdue's $6 billion settlement has a bad news. The legal protections for owners of the notorious opioid pill company are opposed by some families. College football playoff features 4 heavyweights, and 1 snub has a good news. The playoff will feature top teams like number 1 Michigan, number 4 Alabama, number 2 Washington, and Texas. Behind the tragic, Instagram-perfect life of an ex-Disney executive has a bad news. The reality of their business and life was even worse than portrayed on social media. Evan Gershkovich is detained for 250 days and has committed no crime. A letter from the editor-in-chief encourages people to write a message to Evan and offers help. Alaska Air reaches deal to acquire Hawaiian Airlines has a good news. Alaska Air will acquire the rival airline for roughly $1 billion. Goods deflation is back. It could speed inflation's return to 2% has a bad news. Falling prices of durables have brought down core inflation. Biden wants to talk jobs. Americans care more about prices and how rising profits could prevent the economy from faltering, shows a potential disagreement in priorities. U.S. destroyer, commercial vessels attacked by drones, missiles in Red Sea has a bad news. Iran-backed Houthi forces claimed responsibility, and the Pentagon warned of a potential U.S. response. Supreme Court case could mess up chunks of tax code, has a potential impact on the tax code. Spotify to lay off 17% of staff, its third round of job cuts this year, has a bad news. The streaming giant is cutting jobs as part of a profitability push. The new green investment, getting clean energy to big cities, has a good news. Startup Energy Ray has raised $1.2 billion for transmission lines to carry renewable electricity to urban areas. The Christmas movie people love to hate is a light-hearted article. Fear of God's American Luxury Story shows the success of designer Jerry Lorenzo's fashion brand. I thought living paycheck to paycheck was behind me. I was wrong. Illustrates financial struggles and unexpected expenses. Momentum Investing has struggled for 20 years. Here's why. Explains the struggles of mutual funds rating companies. Lock in today's top CD rates. Long-Term provides financial advice on investing in CDs. The best artificial Christmas trees for a festive and easier holiday offers options for fake trees that look like the real thing. There is a mix of good and bad news in recent articles. Stock funds have good news. Their average gain in November was 9.1%, potentially leading to double-digit gains if the year ends strong. Industry ETFs have good news. Research suggests that investors should buy industry-focused ETFs during both upswings and downturns. Retailers like Victoria's Secret and Foot Locker have good news. Despite mixed holiday updates, their shares are surging. Nasdaq has bad news. Many stocks below $1 are still listed on Nasdaq, raising concerns among investor protection advocates. The opioid victims have uncertain news. Some families are opposing the $6 billion settlement with Purdue, and the Supreme Court is hearing arguments regarding legal protections for the company's owners.